from my perspective, you're sort of the networking queen at BNI. In perspective, how would you describe yourself and who are you?
I would describe myself as a giver. And, one of the things you called me, and I appreciate it very much, is the referral queen. And I think that part of the reason you might have given me that moniker is just because it comes naturally to me. I started networking about 10, 11 years ago, and it was just something very comfortable and natural for me. I really like to meet people. I especially like to meet them in a one-to-one setting, and I like to hear their story. So it was a perfect way for me to just learn more about anybody I met, what they do, how they got there. And then I guess maybe I have a good memory or for retention, but the idea of connecting to people was kind of the challenge for me, and really actually just something fun and something that I enjoy doing. I had actually read a book. Someone gave me a book when I first started networking. It was called The Go-Giver. I don't know if you've ever heard of it, written by Bob Berg. And, when I read this little parable about business and about networking and doing, good for others for no apparent gain, it just sat so naturally for me. It's like, oh, I get this. This is what I do. It wasn't something I had to learn. It just sort of felt right. So that's what I did. I just kept networking and I just kept meeting people. And, for me, I just like to help other people and I love to see other people succeed. And what I found is that in the interim, what happens is that, often very good things have come my way because of it. I don't do it for that reason, but I'm absolutely confident and faithful and optimistic that good things come back to me. So that's how it happens.
Yes, I love that. And so tell us a little bit about the paper store and your involvement and what the business represents.
Okay, the Paper Store and More is a division of a larger company called Patterson Papers. And Patterson Papers is a wholesale paper distribution company. What we do is this is my family's business. It was started in 1914 by my great-grandfather, and it was set up to be a wholesale distributor of paper that is manufactured. It was manufactured in America and also manufactured throughout the world. Our primary market for 80 years were printers. So we sold unprinted paper to the printing community, then put ink on it. And we did that, steadily for about through the 60s, 70s, and 80s, primarily to printers. And then the world changed and companies and corporations started getting copiers. So then we started reaching out to churches and organizations and corporations and professionals who had copiers in their offices. And we were also supplying them with paper. So we were kind of like the Staples before Staples existed. If you needed copier paper, you would call a wholesale paper distributorship. I always said I would never join the family business, but in 1987, that changed based on a few things that happened in my life. And I said, it's time to contribute back to my family. So I decided I asked my father if there was a place for me in the business. And he said, yes, I want to start this separate division where printers could actually come and pick up paper as they needed, almost like a cash and carry store or a quote unquote convenience store for the printing community, because at the time in the 80s, the printing industry was booming. So it was a great idea. They had done it out west and we were bringing the concept east, and that was my role. So I opened up our little store division, and these are basically 2,000 to 3,000 square foot warehouses where printers could come and pick up paper and printing supplies and envelopes as they needed. Currently, I should say in the 90s, the environment changed a bit due to the advent of the internet and email, and the printing industry changed dramatically. However, more and more companies started getting copiers. So our marketplace was shifting, and I started networking specifically to reach other markets. It was my way to let people know that there was another place to buy paper other than Staples, and that we were paper professionals and knew more about paper than anybody, and we could help you with different textures, weights, sizes, colors, etc.
So now, in light of the pandemic and in networking and trying to offer your services, what are some of the challenges? What have you been able to overcome? And what would you want to share as maybe a tip or an inspiration?
Gosh, this has certainly changed from a business perspective. Things have changed. We do have 2 stores remaining. And what we've done because we are deemed an essential business, because printers are an essential business, so therefore we're essential to them, so we are open. We definitely have altered the schedule and our staff. It's very important that our employees are safe, and we exercise lots of different caution in our workplace. For example, in the store setting, we have only 2 people in one store, 1 person in another store, and we've sort of set it up like a call ahead and pickup service, kind of like a restaurant. You place your order, we'll pull it for you, and then we'll bring it and put it in your car. So there's very little interaction once you get to the store. If you'd like, you can also call on the phone and we will deliver. So for the next day. So as far as that's concerned, we're available to our customers. Unfortunately, because of the virus, our customers aren't that busy. Their customers aren't around. A lot of our printers were printing ad journals, or they're printing for events, or they're printing for trade shows or marketing collateral. And at this time, a lot of that stuff has, kind of been halted. So with that said, we are there, and people are, calling and coming in. As far as marketing or at this time, or how, what I can do, I really can't do much to increase business at this time, but I do reach out to my printers. I try to offer, just a little insight into what's going on in the stores, so they kind of don't feel alone or don't feel like they're doing anything wrong, that really things are quiet and it's just the nature of our business right now. I do try to remind people of something that I think you actually put up on your LinkedIn, that this is a time, like a lot of great businesses were founded during very severe, economic downturns and, crazy times in our history. So I try to remind them to be open and creative, and, maybe some idea will come to them. Or I often, the other thing, I remind them about like marketing collaterals, like something they can think about is how they're marketing, and maybe even remind their customers that this is a good time for them to review their marketing positions. But I know that's hard for a lot of people to kind of get their heads around right now. There's a lot of other kind of more pressing issues, but I do kind of try to express that, in whatever way I can. It's so important to have, a marketing mix. And the other thing I also try to tell them is to go onto social media, because the other thing is I've become more familiar with LinkedIn. I mean, something I'm doing for the first time is Zoom meetings. I never did that before. So that's been exciting. And I've been taking webinars, and I try to, let them know that those things are kind of out there if they aren't involved in that themselves. And finally, the last thing I do is I just call people to say hello and just check on them. I'm not looking for business. I'm really curious. I mean, I feel like a partner and a friend to many of my customers, and I just want them to know that I'm thinking about them. So, just to reach out sincerely and authentically to let them know they're thought of.
That's what makes you so awesome.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. It's a really great advice there, and a great perspective. So thank you so much for sharing yourself and your business. And
thank you for your time. And Rosie, I want to say I'm very inspired by you and all your LinkedIn posts. So I think you should keep doing whatever you're doing. I mean, I got some great tips based on things that you've posted. So I'm just, grateful to always learn from other people. So thank you, because you're one of my teachers.
Oh, wow. Thank you. Well, it's a yin and yang. So
thanks.
Thank you, Jeannie. And hopefully we'll get through this together for sure.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'll see you next week.
Definitely.
Okay. Thanks so much.
Thank you.